Hi everyone, welcome back to 33 Founders. I'm really excited you're with us today because I'm here with Galyn Bernard and Christina Carbonell, the founders of Primary. Thank you guys so much for being with me.
Thanks for having us.
So like before, I want to start out and ask why you don't have women's clothes, but I think let's start out with the amazing solution that you guys are building for parents.
Great, thanks. We're really excited to sort of tell you about it a little bit. Our idea with Primary really was based on our personal experience shopping for kids' clothes. Christina and I both have 2 kids. We've been shopping for kids' clothes for over 12 years. And we really, in all of that shopping time, didn't have a go-to destination for basic kids' clothes that our kids wear all day, every day. And that seemed sort of odd to us, given all the players in the marketplace, the size of the market, how much we're spending on kids' clothes. It just seemed like everything out there was more expensive and harder to shop for than we wanted it to be. And I think especially having worked at diapers.com for so long, where we were really focused on bringing a solution to busy parents around obvious replenishables like diapers and formula and things that your kids are growing out of and needing more of all the time. It felt particularly striking that there was no way to shop for kids' clothes in a way that was as easy and sort of expected as you do for those sort of obvious baby replenishment items. And so we were really excited to try to solve that for parents, including ourselves, with Primary, where, yeah, we're sort of bringing this go-to destination that's focused just on the basic sort of foundational kids' clothes at an amazing price point.
Yeah, so it's great quality and everything is under $25, which is huge. And can you tell us a little bit about the styles you have and why that simplicity is so important to the brand?
Yeah, sure. So we're offering over 30 styles for baby and kids up to size 10. And the real concept when we talk about basics and essentials is really we want to offer the kinds of clothes that every kid wears every day, but we want to offer the one of it that a kid and a parent really needs rather than the 35 variations that a parent really doesn't have the time to sort through to get to the one that they really pull out of the closet every time. And so whether it's the one polo or the one cargo or the one footie for a baby, we want to offer really the one that they need and put as much thought into sort of getting that one right as we can. And so really it's about curation and making this as easy an experience as possible for parents.
The other thing I would, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I would just add that for us too, it really personally and for the business was about sort of building a closet of no bad choices for people, where simplicity here is really important because it sort of ensures, or our goal is to make these clothes universal for people. So whether or not you want to style your child in a moto jacket and some boots, or if you're more into seersucker and a more preppy style, you still need t-shirts and polos and all these things that Christina was talking about. And so this idea of a closet full of good choices where everything mixes and matches, including all the colors and all the styles, in a way that makes it sort of stress-free, getting ready for school in the morning for both kids who are excited to dress themselves and parents who have to do it too, just easy.
What are your kids' favorite styles, Primary clothes?
That's a good question. My girls lately have been super into the PJs. In fact, the pedal PJs are huge, and my daughter just wore her long sleeve PJ top to school the other day. Totally worked. I was really fine with it. So that was fun. And then dresses, sort of can't get enough of lately. So lots of sundresses and the dress in our closet.
And sort of the opposite for me, I've got a girl who's a tomboy, and so she's into like the girls' gym shorts and like ribbed tanks and like a hoodie. And my son actually, especially for dress up, when so often for kids to dress up, the clothes are just so uncomfortable. But sometimes they have to wear a collar shirt, or they can't wear sweatpants. So for him, like our woven shorts and our comfortable jersey polo is like the perfect solution.
That's awesome. And I'm totally up for the PJ shirt to school because that's one of my favorite styles you guys have. And what I love about your model is the simplicity you're bringing for the long run, not just the one-stop shop. So if I get a t-shirt for my niece and she loves it, when she turns 2, I can get her the same one. And that goes into your My Closet feature. Why was something like that so important for you guys?
Yeah, I think for us, part of this whole solution that we were bringing, a big part of it was the dependability and the reliability that's sort of inherent in our minds in a go-to destination, where, again, sort of back to the diapers example, when you find a diaper brand that you like, you know that you can go back and just get one size up. It's going to be the same diaper. You sort of understand it. You don't have to think about it when it gets too small. And that for us was really important with kids' clothes. Kids grow out of their clothes so quickly that we didn't want to have to reinvent the wheel every single time something gets too small. And so we were really excited to bring a solution around it where, you know, we spent a ton of time thinking about the user experience on the site and wanting to be able to play back in a really easy, sort of elevated, fun way, exactly what people have bought before, so that they can come back to the site, know it's going to be there, and in one click, reorder different colors, different sizes, whatever they need.
It's really resonating with parents, too. I read one blog, and I love the way she put it because Mommy Coddle said, it's the where have you been all of my life site we've all been looking for. And I think that's what every founder wants to hear, that they're fulfilling that need. The press has been great so far. What's some of the feedback you've been getting?
I think that most importantly, it's that the concept is resonating, and all the passion we had for a different way to approach kids' clothing as a category and as an industry is something that people actually agree with and are reacting to. This is an industry that's very much driven by fashion, and we love fashion too, but when it comes to these kinds of clothes, we just don't think that the experience that has been out there to date is the one that really lends itself to the way people want to shop for it. And so getting that reaction, like, thank you for creating something that works for me as a parent, is why we created it and exactly what we wanted to hear. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, I think the other fun thing is the color reactions. We spent so much time not only deciding sort of what the palette would be, but specifically within the palette, which shade of pool blue are we going to offer. Decisions like that took a really long time and tons of iterations because it was important that the colors in and of themselves in absolute were beautiful and perfect and that we loved them, but also that once you start putting together combinations of all the 20 colors, that they all look amazing together. And it's funny how you don't know it until you see it, and a color on its own could look great, but until you pair it with something else, you don't know. Sometimes it looks exactly the same as a different one, but it doesn't go well with something else. And so that mix and match quality was really important for us. We also wanted to offer colors that we thought were great for both parents and kids. It seems like in the marketplace, there's a lot of sort of, you know, oh, it's for kids. So there's some, you know, a little bit of a juvenile sort of approach to color choices. And so hearing feedback like the colors are amazing, the colors are cool, the colors are great, is really fun for us to hear given how much time we put into it. But also that people are buying colors that are less expected. So cobalt and grass green for girls, not always just the sort of pink and lilac colors, which is really fun. So, so the color feedback has been really exciting.
That's great. And one thing I love that you guys say on your site is that in your Mother's Day, if you couldn't find what you were looking for, you created it yourself. Not many people do that today. So what was it like from the early stages of, hey, I have this idea, to let's make this a reality?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is rooted in the experience that we had at diapers.com in Quincy. We had the opportunity to be part of that experience from very early on, and got to experience going from a small company to a very big company, what it took to do that. And we're also, of course, incredibly inspired by the founders there who continue to be mentors. And they really made it look fun and awesome and possible to do something like this. And seeing that, being inspired by that, and being part of that experience, I just think gave us a lot of confidence to go after an idea that we believed in.
I think too, the other piece of that is that Christina and I worked so closely together for 4 years that there wasn't really a question on our partnership and how it would work and how it would sort of play out, not only sort of at a high level, but also just in the day-to-day, which obviously becomes such a big consideration. Like, is this someone that you want to spend all day, every day with or not? And luckily it is. And we're not holding hands or anything, but we do get along really well. And I think yeah, we just are able to work really well together, which going into this, knowing that you're taking a huge leap and you're going to be working with this person for a long time was, you know, sort of made a huge difference too.
Absolutely.
When it came to determining the model, you guys said you had from February to May to really chat about that. What were some of the initial ideas that stuck towards the end and some that you were like, this is not going to work?
You know, a lot had to do just fundamentally with the value we thought that we could offer here. And there was a hypothesis about that in the beginning that, again, from our perception was that kids' clothing seems like it costs more than it should. and that we thought we probably could offer a much better value. Investigating that and analyzing it was a big part of what we did in those months, and the hypothesis proved out as we looked at what we saw competitors doing, and as we really analyzed their P&Ls. And it had to do with a combination of our ability to sell direct and not have offline stores, and also not sort of have middlemen involved. But another part of it had to do with the fashion component, and by not doing trendy, long-tail fast fashion, we could avoid a lot of costs in order to be able to offer really what is the right price for the kinds of clothes that we're offering. All of that sort of proved out for us and ultimately led to our ability to offer these clothes for under $25, which has been a huge part of what has resonated, and I think is making this appealing broadly, to a lot of people. So that one stuck.
Yeah. One that didn't stick in the near term is we had in hindsight, a really ambitious plan around the number of styles that we would launch with. And I think when we were initially talking, it was like 120 total. Wow. For babies and boys and girls, which, it adds up quickly when you think about like the one of like every single piece of clothing that a kid needs. We got there pretty quickly. Once we started getting into the design and development and fit and grading process, we sort of brought it down to 30, which we launched with. But we're excited about this sort of runway that we have and all of the other possible styles that we can launch that still sort of fit with this model that we think we can deliver with a ton of value and quality.
When it comes to the simplicity and adding new things, whether it's new colors or patterns or new styles, how are you going to maintain that balance? Because sometimes when you walk into, I'm not a big shopper, so if I walk into a department store, my heart starts racing. There's so many options that I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. I think for us, one lens that we want to always sort of think about the assortment through is that, if we're thinking about offering a new style or a new pattern or a new color, is it something that we think we can sell for 5 years? If it's not, then it doesn't work and we don't want to do it. So we want to introduce and focus on things that are classic and, going to be sort of those always go-tos for people versus things that are a little more trendy, a little more sort of fast fashion driven that tend to be those in and outs and sort of in our minds cause the sort of overwhelming, I don't know what to choose piece, but also, you can't come back and you can't do the consistency around styles like that. And so I think that's the most important lens for us. And I think we'll take it slowly. I think we will make decisions based on feedback we're getting from customers instead of, going big on, okay, all of a sudden next week we're going to offer 60 new patterns. I think we'll sort of take it slow and see how it goes from here.
And the model's all demand-based, right?
Meaning?
That you guys don't hold the inventory, right? It's all like manufacturing-wise.
We do actually hold the inventory, and it's an advantage we certainly see in this business in the long run is because these are essentials and they are evergreen, the predictability around them should be high and better and better over time. So actually it will be an advantage for us because we'll be able to invest in more inventory without fear of obsolescence and be able to get better costs in the long run. In the beginning, of course, we're learning, and so we're not over-investing in inventory until we get a good sense of what the demand is. But we are, in fact, manufacturing and holding inventory rather than just producing to demand.
Oh, that's great. I never even thought of it in the predictability. I am doomed when...
It'd be great at the same time if we could do something on demand. That would be awesome.
That is always a beneficial business model.
Yeah.
When it comes to scaling, what's your guys' playbook right now for the next couple of months?
Yeah, so we're super excited, having launched just a few weeks ago, to have gotten some great press and to be able to really activate, in many ways, everyone we know, friends, family, and networks around an idea that people are excited about. So that organic growth in the beginning is always just super fun to see. But we're marketers by background, and we're excited to market over the coming year. Our experience, again, at Quidsi is relevant because it was a very similar demographic. And so whether it is activating influencers, which is something we're really focused on right now in the beginning, or starting to play in online channels, whether it's on Facebook or otherwise. Those are, of course, things that we'll do. And also even marketing offline. We're trying to reach busy parents in whatever way that we can to make them aware of what we're doing. And we've had a lot of success with anything from, direct mail to just other offline channels like print advertising. And you have to test and try things to see sort of the best way to get in front of this audience and get that message across to them. And I think we'll be testing a lot of things over the coming year.
When it comes to the testing, what is that benchmark when you say, okay, we're going to go with this one?
Yeah, it's a really good question because I think it's so important to have a way of thinking about it. Otherwise, it becomes scary to invest in marketing. And that is very much a part of our background again at Quidsi, is being rooted in a model that's based on a cost to acquire a customer and then an expected lifetime value for that customer. It starts with a hypothesis around what that is. So we certainly feel that because of the nature of the products and the replenishment orientation of them, that this is a customer relationship that we're building, and we have an idea of how we think a customer might shop with us over time and what that could be worth. And so related to that, we have an idea of what it might make sense to pay to get a customer right now and going forward. And that becomes the threshold for any marketing investment that we test. Okay. So it's a cost of acquisition.
When it comes to being parents yourself, how much do you let that play into your testing? Or can it play into your testing?
I mean, I think a lot in terms of the initial hypotheses, especially around messaging. So, we have a lot of strong instincts on this is a message that feels authentic to who we are and what we would want to see as parents or not. And so I think that will always factor in, which isn't to say that like if we both felt really passionately about one message and tested another one and that one did better, that we wouldn't go with that one. But I think it definitely informs sort of upfront, not only the messaging and sort of the content of what we're offering, but also the way that we're reaching people. So, things that we appreciate seeing, it's nice to get a quick curated print piece in the mail at a time when I'm thinking about shopping for kids' clothes. It's relevant, it's timely. Those things are great. And so, I think it probably informs a little bit of how we're thinking about initial marketing.
Great. And I loved in the post that Homebrew shared about their fundraising work with you guys that Mark Lore called and said they had to meet with you, so they cleared their calendars and said, hey, we're going to go check out this primary. And they were really wowed by what you guys are doing. What was the fundraising process like for you?
It was brand new. This was sort of the second piece of this business that we had no experience in before we started primary. So a lot of time thinking about manufacturing clothing, a lot of time thinking about how to effectively fundraise and bring on partners for the business that we were really excited to work with. And so it really was just a lot of work, to be honest, and new and a little bit scary and intimidating and fun and a great learning experience. All of that sort of wrapped into like 3 months of really intense meetings. So I think we met with probably close to 50 people, learned a lot along the way, got better and better at sort of talking about primary and focusing on the things that were really resonating and important to us. And in the end, I think feel amazing about the partners that we have on board. Both Homebrew and Harrison Metal have just been awesome, really good, nice guys. Obviously incredibly smart and experienced as well, but just really good partners. And so I think, it was a ton of hard work, but it ended up working out.
When it came from your first pitch to your last pitch, how did it evolve in that learning?
Well, first of all, we made the mistake of doing our first pitch to our highest potential investor. And so we wouldn't do that again. It wasn't our best pitch. It was not polished and refined. And we immediately also got the reaction that sorry, it's just too early for us. Maybe, let's talk again a little later on. And to be honest with you, our first reaction was just I guess we'll have to find another idea after one pitch. So, I mean, first of all, I wouldn't start with sort of your highest potential investor, but also you just have to be prepared for rejection. That's just part of the process. We did pitch, I think, over probably 50 people ultimately, and ended up with a great hit rate. But along the way, you just will, get no's from lots of people, and you just have to know that that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that you don't have a good idea. It's all about fit. You're trying to find the right partners, and so you just have to keep going. And so we certainly did learn a lot along the way, both just about how best to sort of get across our passion and our thinking behind the idea, as well as, to be honest with you, a little bit of just learning the way it works, fundraising. Mm-hmm. We didn't know the language to speak. We didn't know how to end a meeting. A meeting would end and we would just kind of be looking at each other now
okay,
what?
Thanks.
And so you refine sort of your approach as you just sort of figure out the way things work and even the language involved. And we just got sort of better and better at that part of it and a little more comfortable, I guess, and confident over time, so that by the end, I think it was just felt natural.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's sort of, you start to get the momentum and it comes together. That's what you hope for.
Yeah, I think too, it seems counterintuitive, but I do think that like a lot of the no's gave us more confidence almost. I think when we started out, it was our inclination to be a little bit reactive, like, oh, well, maybe we should think about this. And if, oh, that doesn't sound like a good idea, like maybe we'll think about it this way. But then the more we talked about it, I think the stronger we felt about our original sort of hypothesis and idea, and felt more confident that, you know, we were looking for people who were aligned with us and were passionate about the same things we were, versus trying to sort of shift our model and think about making it work for other people. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, it's good. That's all.
I think the alternative plan, too, is just to bring in the models, because they can, if I saw those models, I'd be like, I'll invest whatever you want.
It's perfect. Now I will bring my children to our pitch meetings. It's going to be great.
We have their financial model, or we have some very cute.
I know. In their metal PJs, I think potentially, yeah.
We might have done it.
You're set. I'm excited for that.
That's really fun.
So you guys shared that you both learned a ton when you were working at Amazon, diapers.com, and that collaboration. When you came to start your own business, what are some of the cultural traits or processes that really stuck with you from there that you wanted to integrate to your own startup?
Yeah, so much. But I think a few that clearly stand out. One is that clearly there was a super analytical orientation to everything that we did at Quidsi that we bring with us now. When you have clarity in sort of the metrics that matter and how to think about them, it just gives you so much freedom to do so many things, whether it's to make a marketing investment or just sort of how to pursue your business. And so an analytical orientation was really, really just fundamental and sort of is part of our DNA now. At the same time, the sort of like part of it that you can't measure, which is about creating something people are truly passionate about, was equally important to us there and is here as well. And so when it comes to the customer experience and things like service, you're going to have a hard time justifying that with numbers. And so you kind of have to know that that's not something to be measured. That's something that you invest in because you are trying to create something that people will truly love and be passionate about, and you just do it. You do what you believe it will take. And so that balance of those things and a little bit of science and a little bit of art to it is, I think, a big part of our DNA now. And then there's maybe the culture side of things.
Yeah, I think for us, Mark and Vinny set out very early on to sort of ensure that the culture at Quidsi was one where people were very kind and respectful, alongside of the analytics and the peel back the onion and go for it and sort of all of those things that maybe you would expect a little bit more out of a fast growth startup company. But for us, it was really important in bringing that to primary, where it is really important for us to hire people who are really nice, good people and excited to work with other people that are that way too. So no sharp elbows belong here at all. I think too, in hiring, it wasn't explicit in the Quidsi values really, but Christina sort of alluded to this art and science. And for us, in looking for people to join the team, it's that plus a little bit of magic, which is intangible and a little special sort of spark that people bring that's really important, that again is hard to measure and sort of one of those things that you know it when you see it, but is really important for us to sort of think about that when we're hiring.
When it comes to bringing people on the team and working together, how do you make sure as the leaders of the team that Angela, for example, is not just Primary's creative director? You know Angela outside of the office, so she feels welcome to share her ideas and her life and everything when she's at work.
It's a good question. I think for us, I mean, at least for me, we should ask her, but being in the office doesn't feel like the office. We're super informal and go grab lunch together all the time, and my kids came in last week, and so to me, the lines are really blurred anyway. And we also worked with her for a really long time before, but even newer team members that we didn't work with earlier, it just seems like a nice, cozy sort of place to live, not just come to work.
Yeah, I think we absolutely feel that a culture of informality and a lack of hierarchy, for as long as you can keep those things, are just super important and the kind of place we want to work in. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're trying to do here.
How do you make that home feeling a reality, especially when things are stressful?
Sometimes we have a drink at the end of the day.
Or in the middle of the day, which is fine too. How do we? I mean, I think in general, like everyone who's here is here because they want to create something together and do it in a way that is fun along the way. So it's not just about the end result here for any of us. It's sort of about enjoying the journey and learning stuff and challenging ourselves and trying to do things differently than other people have. And so I think we're all like-minded in that way, which naturally lends itself to just a really fun, easygoing environment where people feel, like they can share their ideas and not be judged and throw stuff out, because tons of ideas come from really informal, casual conversations that way. And so I think it's sort of that.
I think so too. I mean, I think it's inherently serious to have a startup and to be trying to do what we're trying to do, and yet not taking yourselves too seriously and just being able to lighten it up like every day, I think is really key to just having it feel that way, homey and fun, no matter what's going on.
I think too, we try to be super open ourselves. So, it's not like Christina and I like sit in the conference room all day and have chit chats and then go out and like tell
everyone
what to do. It's really super collaborative, and everyone is just sort of working together to do whatever they can in any instance. So we're putting desks together just as often as we're sitting down trying to think about our financial model.
Not bad. When it comes to business and life, Galyn, you've shared before that you're a big fan of tangible progress. So celebrating the baby steps as well as the long-term plan. How do you guys apply that to primary?
I mean, I think it is just taking a second to step back and think about tangible progress that we've made. So, keeping the team informed about metrics we're looking at all the time. So, we know exactly how many orders we did yesterday, and we know what our average order size is, and we know that this style color combination has been a huge hit that we're surprised about. I think it's sharing those things that sort of bring us all back to, things are hard and complicated and there's lots of stuff to figure out. But at the end of the day, we're selling product to people, and that is a huge accomplishment in and of itself based on sort of where we were a year ago. And so I think it's just reminding people a little bit, and ourselves too, about what we're doing and how customers are reacting. So sharing customer feedback emails, this person thought we had amazing customer service yesterday, so making sure that Crystal Lee got a little standing ovation in the office, things like that just are so important to us. And so I think we are able to do it in a way that's authentic, because it is important. It's not just, well, we read this playbook and it said that you're supposed to appreciate employees. It really is important to us, and I think we appreciate it when people do it for us too.
Yeah, and the only other thing I'd say that we work very hard at is focus. Mm-hmm. And so when we are all very focused, which we try to be, everyone knows what we're working on and what we're trying to get to. And so then everyone just feels good about the progress. We're not spinning our wheels on too many things and actually not getting anywhere on the things that really matter. And so we work really hard at that part of it.
When it comes to that focus and long-term perspective, I've been learning that it's a great practice to write down your best possible future. So for you guys, this year or in 5 years, whichever you want to share, what is your best possible future for primary?
We're going to go write it down right after.
I know. I think there are probably a few. The one that is most important to me, I think, today is that both today and 5 years from now, our customers love us. I think we are going to spend maybe a relatively inordinate amount of time making sure that we can develop personal relationships and make customers feel like they're being heard and they have a voice and they're helping us to create a brand that we can all love and make it better and better. And so I think if 5 years from now, we're sort of scaling and bigger and can still say that our customers love us, we will have done sort of what we set out to do.
And I think we feel that if we do that, the potential for where we could be is really significant. We are operating in this huge category that's super fragmented, and even though we're curated, we're focused on the part of it that is really the core of it, you know, that people need the most. And so if we can offer the best experience in delivering on the core of the kids' clothing category and become what we want to be, which is the first place you go to when you need things for your kids' closets, I think the potential for how big this could be and where we could end up is really huge.
When it comes
to write down, people love us.
When it comes to writing it down, you can also include like upping the size a little bit, maybe like to size 14. So we can all participate. All right, last question. In my favorite blog that Luna just turned into a book, she talks about choosing must, and she says, must is when we are alone with the truest, most authentic version of ourselves, the intuition that explodes inside of us. How are you guys living your must every day? Wow. Elle's words, not mine.
We are, which is so awesome. Yeah. I mean, feeling like you are, I don't know, just like doing what you're meant to do, I guess. And it's sort of a privilege to be able to do what we're doing, partly because we have the background that we have. So we had this amazing learning experience and a lot of people kind of encouraging us and guiding us and helping us believe that we could do it. And I do think we have the tools and the experience to do this successfully. And so we felt almost like we had to. Like if we don't, you know, so many people out there have amazing ideas, but they don't know where to start or how to get there. And so I do think we feel like we are like living our true selves and doing something significant that feels authentic to us.
Yeah. And even if it wasn't, I think it's even better that it could be significant. I think just that we're doing it. You know, we talked about it for a little bit and we're really doing it. And like now we're extra doing it because we've launched and we're selling products and we're doing this website and delivering orders and so just doing it feels good. I think too, knowing that like we don't have it all figured out is really authentic and good to like remind ourselves that we're in week 3, like there's so much still to go here and learn from customers and make this better and better. That's what we love too, is sort of seeing a problem and trying to solve it the best way we can based on the information that we have, but also recognizing opportunities going forward to just learn and keep learning and keep getting better is super rewarding and really fun.
And people love you. So you're off to a great start.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being with me today. Can we close with you sharing how everyone can stay up to date with your doing and start using Primary?
Sure. Well, you can visit our website, primary.com. Follow us on social media. We're at primary.com, spelled out. And tell us what you think. You can email us anytime.
Galyn at Primary and Christina at primary.com. Email us with any feedback.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you.